Now.
Hi, this is Dan Abnett. Welcome to AUSHAMMER. There are some guys here who want to talk to you and to me. Off you go.
Alrighty. Thank you, Mr. Abnett. Hello, everybody. Welcome to AUSHAMMER. I'm Ryan, joined tonight by David Maidman and Scotty. How you going, fellas?
Good, mate.
Brindley's here somewhere as well. However, he does have a sick minion somewhere, so he will be on again shortly. Now, tonight we're joined by the master himself, Dan Abnett, and it's a big one for us. We've managed to bring you down under. Welcome to Australia via Google Hangouts, sir. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. It's nice to be here. It looks a lot nicer there than it is here.
It is beautiful one day, gorgeous the next. I can't remember how the adverts go. They were terrible. It's all a lie. It's actually pissing down with rain all over the place and stinking hot at the same time. I don't even understand how it works. So the snow seems like a welcome reprieve for most of us down here, mate.
Sure.
That's for sure. Now, we've got a lot to cover tonight, and I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're super, super busy. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the news and events that's happening down here, some of which might actually be happening up there as well. So without further ado, Scotty, what's going on, buddy?
We've had a massive week this week, actually. The GAMA, the Game Manufacturers Association trade show, has been in Nevada in the US this week, and they have basically been graced with Games Workshop and a heap of announcements. We've had AoS Deepkin release Underwater Guys. They looked pretty good. We've had
Underwater Guys. Thank you for that amazing description.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, Dan, this is the kind of consistent professionalism you can come to expect.
Look,
I want to write Underwater Guys.
So, can you imagine? That'll be it. That's Dan's. That's the first page of Dan's next book. Once upon a time, there were some cool-looking water guys. Anyway, yes.
Next one is Necromunda, which is the House Van Saar. Now, these models look insane. Apparently, they've got some new rules, new technology, or something. They've got a lot of cool things coming to them. The big one for us 40K guys is Kill Team. And along with Kill Team, they are apparently releasing some terrain. So there'll be, the Kill Team book. Oh, here we go. Sorry. Yep. So they're the guys. There's the Kill Team. There's the Kill Team terrain there with the models. From there, we've got the new Necrons model, which is the Cryptek with the canoptic cloak. It actually looks like some sort of scorpion enema.
The product description on the Games Workshop website will say, here goes another one, just like the other one.
Just the other one, yeah. And along that, we've had the Codex come and the Start Collecting box as well.
I'm a buyer. I love it. I reckon they look awesome. It's like Terminator all over again, but cooler.
Oh, go back. Don't need that one.
Fine.
So quickly, we've had Shadespire, the Magri's Fiends, and the Fast Riders come out. We've had Blood Bowl with Doomlord's team come out. Now, this is the one. Forgebane prices. We've had $160 US, which somehow, I do not know, and I sat with this last night, it converts to $265 US, Australian.
Oh, it doesn't convert. All right, that's not how that works. If you no, so what you're forgetting is that there's a fist that comes with all the plastic they send down here. Dan, you may not be aware of the G-Dub fist. Some of us are currently sitting on one right now. And that's those prices there. So I think it's something to do with shipping and stuff, but it doesn't stop me feeling dirty about it.
It doesn't, yeah. So anyway, the US gets it for 160. We get it for 265.
And we're still all going to buy it.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, because we're stupid.
Because that's a level of consistent intellectual ability for the rest of us down here as well.
here's the best one for you. The New Zealand guys get it for $291.
Dear God.
Yeah. Okay.
All
More
right.
news. So we've got the Heroes of Blackreach. Now this is actually pretty intriguing. This is a card-based 40k game. There's smaller cards that fit into basically bigger cards. That's how you get your weapons and your squads, that sort of stuff. Keeps scrolling through. So yeah, so that's how you got your melter guns and stuff. You've got so different squads, different cards. I really want to get my hands on this.
Of course, you and every other enthusiastic man and woman who likes to push little plastic men around on a table.
Just because. And the last one actually. So once we've gone through all those, yep. So that's one of the rhinos, and then we're back to the beginning. Okay, so the last one is actually Warhammer Fest in Coventry from May 12th and 13th. Now this is actually really cool because what they're doing is giving out free tickets for people who register early and send in pictures of their cosplay that they will be doing at the event. So basically, those guys who do cool cosplay are going to get in for free, which I think is pretty good.
Oh, damn it! I left my Card Captor Secura outfit at the dry cleaners, and now I've got nothing to wear.
I doubt that epoxy stuff's going to.
I think Brindley's got like a Sailor Moon dress or something. I'm pretty sure we could probably. I don't know if I'll fit into it, but it's worth a shot.
So we've got rumours as well. There's been a lot of rumours coming out this week around releases and what is and what isn't. The first one is from Necromunda with House Kodor and House Delaque that is coming out in the next few months, apparently. Another one that's caused a bit of a stir is an apparent Kroot Codex to go along with those filthy space communist fish head looking things.
Hey, you leave those space communist fish people alone.
No,
if Brindley was here, he would not allow it. So in his
he wouldn't.
You just let Justy leave those tower alone.
So the other one is a new box set that's coming out that is filled with new Black Legion models with a new Abaddon model or Abaddon, whichever way you want to say it.
Well, now's the perfect time to ask somebody who would most certainly know.
How do you pronounce that name, sir?
I pronounce it Abaddon, but I believe some people in the UK pronounce it Carruthers.
And that's in the Queen's English as well, correct?
Yeah. It's another public school name, obviously.
And the other part.
Abaddon Minor. He was one of the in the fourth remove. He was a good kid, and his father went up to Oxford. He was great, Abaddon. I remember him well.
The other half of that fight, is it Ezekiel or Ezekiel?
Is it what?
Is it the other half of that fight? Is it Ezekiel or Ezekiel?
Again, Ezekiel is how I pronounce it.
Right.
That's also, I'm pretty sure that's quite biblical as well, but let's not go there.
It's very biblical, and actually, I was the one who gave him that first name. So,
good.
But my rule is with any character is that the correct pronunciation is the way that you pronounce it.
I really dig that. I really dig that. From now on, just going to call him Harry and be like, hey, Dan said it was bloody all right. Don't judge him.
Yeah, it's completely. He likes it too, you know.
Just what's his name? I'll never forget what's his name.
That's right, yeah. So the last rumor is 4 new Primarch models, apparently. Fulgrim, Lionel Johnson, Angron, and Russ. These are all taken with a hefty dose of salt. Whether it actually comes to fruition is another thing.
And if it does... And then we all see the prices down here.
Yeah,
there'll be a whole bunch more salt as well.
I'll run a second mortgage on my house.
Yeah, I'm remortgaging for that. I'm keen.
So we've got a couple of press releases actually this week as well. One from a company called Armour Digital, who do at the moment a tabletop-based drone tank game. Like I said, we've been sending that press release in the last few days, and we've had a look at it, and it's actually shocked us a bit.
I will be honest. I may have a draft email to Chris saying, "Hey, send us a free copy so we can play it." Yeah, let you know how it goes. But for those of you that are listening right now, in the description of this video is a link to their page as well. So as Scotty's talking, feel free to check out the link and have a look. It's pretty cool. Carry on, buddy.
Cool. So the next one is from a company called Lazy Shark Designs. Now, they've got a Kickstarter that's based around Zone Mortalis scenery. It's looking to launch mid to late April. And the Kickstarter will be called Ancient World Ship Corridors. Once again, we've been sent a few pictures, and the quality and basically just the way that they've been presented so far is pretty top notch. They're really, really cool. Now, I think that's about it for me. So yeah, that's all. But yeah, like I said, those last two press releases have really picked our ears up in the last few days, and we are definitely keen to get onto it.
Always keen. Always keen. Excellent. All right. Thanks, dude.
Cool.
Mr. Maidment.
Yes, Mr.
What's going on, mate? What do you got for me?
I've got a few events.
No pressure, but Dan Abnett's listening.
I know Dan's listening.
All
right. It's actually been really cool. Last weekend wrapped up a couple of really cool events at Irresistible Force. They had their Scouting of Talos event, which we've been drumming up a fair bit.
I saw some pictures of that. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah, on their Facebook page, they've just started to upload some pictures. They had like 20 guys turn up to roll dice and play 40K in a really relaxed environment, which is awesome, which has got me really excited because I really wanted to attend, but it's working. But on April 7th, they got their 4 Stacks 2 event, which is four games in a day, 1,000 points on a 4x4. So I'm sort of, at the moment, penciling myself in to attend that one. It'll be my first real game of 8th edition 40K, so I'm pretty keen to head out there for that.
Dan, feel free to get a ticket to Australia, mate, if you want to come down for that one as well.
Well, yeah, that sounds good to me. And by the same token, if any of you guys are free this coming Saturday, I'm doing a signing in Faversham in Kent. A little shop there called the Hobby Shop. We're doing a signing all day, so if you feel like coming up to the UK for that, that's great.
I'll ask the wife, and I'm sure I can't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I'll just pop over.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
It's a short trip over. It'll be fine. We'll get there.
Hang on. Do the convict boats go back to the UK, or do they just stop here? I don't know. I don't know if it's a return trip. I don't know if I'm allowed back. I'll find out.
Jeez. We'll see how we go. I reckon we get on.
It's not my fault, all right? It's not my fault that I came over here on a boat. Don't hate me.
That's another episode altogether.
Fine. Carry on, sir.
We won't touch on that at all. But rolling into the next one's May 12th, Brothers in Arms 2. That's their quarterly 750-point doubles. Well worth attending. I'm putting together a little army. I haven't discussed this with Brinley yet, but want to try and tee something up with him to head out there for a game. We can work on something like that.
Are you saying that you're willing to play alongside his Tau?
I will concede and say yes. I will
see what happens, Dan. You obviously haven't written enough books where Tau die.
Clearly, no. I have to rectify that as soon as possible.
Thank you, sir.
David, you used to be cool.
There is no greater good, mate. That's not that. You just got to spread the imperial truth. What are you doing?
I can get there. I can deal with fish people. It's the Dark Angels I can't level myself to play.
Oh, no one's perfect.
No, that's it. But on to something more important. 30K is where it's at for me. I love my 30K. June 16th and 17th, I'm pretty much booked in, just waiting for the players pack to turn up. The Eye of Horus guys and Nathan Carson are teeing up to do a pretty awesome 30K event.
There's some news about that. I forgot to mention. It's a one-dayer because a whole bunch of people were like, hey, let's have a one-dayer. It would be really cool. So I think the Saturday, the 16th, will be the one-dayer, the 30K one-dayer. And there should be a players pack. When?
It's coming soon, I reckon. It should be out pretty shortly. I know they're working on it. So
okay, all right.
Once we got that out, we'll drop it up on Facebook and everything else for everyone to check out, because if they're doing a one-dayer, it's well worth attending.
Yeah, well, just go over to the Eye of Horus podcast and send them lots of messages with all the swear words you can think of, asking for a player's pack. I'm sure it'll be well received.
Absolutely. They love things like that.
Yeah.
The main thing is with us here in Brisbane, BrisCon, April 28th and 29th. They've got a 40K TO, as I'm sure everyone's actually seen. The registration for that's up and selling probably out pretty fast because everyone's keen on that. Age of Sigmar has got limited spaces. It's teeing up to be a great event. I'm excited to be there. We're casting from there, aren't we, Ryan?
Yes and no, all at the same time, because I'm not sure. Possibly, definitely.
We're going to be there. We're going to have some fun. We're keen to meet up with some.
I'm going to be honest, dude. They do like this pick and mix thing, and they have I don't know if do you guys have car boot sales in the UK still, Dan? Is that still a thing?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, so basically all of that's happening over here, but for Warhammer, and it's going to be. I don't think I can cast and go on a shopping spree at the same time. On top of that. What I really love about it, because I'm a book man myself, is everybody goes there with all of their books for selling, swapping, and trading and stuff as well. So it's going to be amazing. Again, grab a ticket, mate, and come on down.
Sure. Well,
Sweet.
yeah, there's plenty of reasons clearly to come down.
Just move down here. We need some good authors down here, mate. You'll be all right. Just swing on over.
Cool.
So I'm taking that as a yes, and that's a commitment, right?
Oh, yeah. Welcome to AUSHAMMER, episode 25. Oh, wait, what the fuck is this? Shit, you started without me?
Professionalism.
This is bullshit. I'm kidding.
Hey, guys. Dan, next time it'll just be you and me, mate. All right, I'm sorry.
This is what happens when you mention fish people too often. Brindley appears.
Yeah.
I could people smack
you just missed it. Dan is committing to uprooting his entire life, family, and moving to Australia.
I can't see a bad side to this plan.
No, neither can I. I can't see it going wrong at all. So
you can stay in my house. You can just chill out here. I got a spare room behind me.
Right.
Yeah, your whole family just fit in here.
I can't see what the problem is.
I don't think. Yeah, you'll be fine. I mean, it's a big room. Like as you can see, there's like heaps of space. You'll be fine.
You're late. We don't tolerate tardiness here. Useless bastard. All right. Carry on, please, David, before we're rudely interrupted by a dude in a beanie.
We should just mute Brindley and keep going.
I can do that. Hang on a second.
Going. No, not this joke. Wrong.
There we go.
Down the button.
So close.
All right. So, have we got anything else happening, or is that it?
Brisbane-wise, it's all about gearing up for Brisbane. At BrisCon. Yeah, everyone's gearing up for it. There's a lot of little events starting to pop up, just in really keeping in line with the players' packs for BrisCon. So the guys at the Failed Charge are hosting an event, Battle Station Toowoomba, on the 15th of April called War at the Gates. It's on their Facebook page if you guys want to have a look. The players' packs there. It's $20. 2,000 points. It's all about preparing for BrisCon. So if you can, hit up Battle Station Toowoomba and the Failed Charge guys, and they can sort you out for a good day of AOS.
Or just pop in and say hi to us. It sounds like we'll probably just be hanging out with Dan all day.
Yeah,
that's going to be a long one. You're going to be so jet lagged. I don't know, mate. You're a better man than I. Good luck with that one. Alrighty. Now, before we get into all of the questions and the jokes and everything else that we've got for you tonight, I want to play a game. I want to play a little game. And it involves a whole lot of backsides. Now, we have, I want to say we force every one of our guests to participate in this game. And unfortunately, given your status, you are still no exception, sir.
Yeah, you made it perfectly clear that I was obliged to play this, otherwise I wouldn't be part of this thing. So.
Yeah. Basically, you
don't get much of a choice. We're not gonna lie. This is This is
Well, look, there's the way it is and there's the way it should be. And that's just the way it is. And I think the Emperor actually said that.
yeah.
So
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
It is.
and if it wasn't him, it was Abaddon.
that's, yes, right. Yeah.
Or Harry.
Or Ezekiel. Ezekiel
Yeah.
Harry. Yeah.
for Erebus.
So don't even get me started on that.
Archaon.
All right.
Magnus.
Now, tonight, David will be showing you some pictures, Dan, and all you need to do is guess the owner of the booty. And Brindley has a giant crown that he stole from one of his kids, and he will be keeping a tally. And at the end of the night, your name will go on a board that is imaginary somewhere on his computer that nobody will ever see unless he holds it up in front of the screen.
It's not even a computer. It's just like this shitty pad that I found on the
Brindley
floor.
doesn't actually have a computer. He's sending us a whole series of photos really quickly right now.
Yeah.
And that's Australian technology. You think that's good, mate? You should see our Navy. It's just a whole bunch of those paper boats all stuck together. It's amazing.
Our NBN went from just like paper cups on strings to tin cups on strings. That was the upgrade.
Actually, dude, I'm pretty sure I heard you the other night. So now we're going to get straight into it. There are 10 bums, which means there are 10 answers that you can get correct or incorrect. I wish you the best of luck, sir. David, take it away, buddy.
Righto. Let's see how this goes. Right, so our first one's cup should be coming up. If Ryan, you're locked on me.
There we go. Guess that booty.
Guess that booty.
Well, you know what? That's I'm gonna no.
Are you screen sharing this?
That's a real Ventris. Go on, there you go.
Oh. Final answer?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Lovely tactical marine.
Yeah. Okay.
Lovely.
No.
Please. That would drop so hard to a good Chaos Marine.
Would too. It's all about that blue.
Yeah. Papa Nurgle would love to play with him. All right.
Absolutely. Number 2, guess that booty. So it's a mix of 40k and Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, that's definitely Abaddon when he's playing Quidditch at Reform School.
Yeah, that's. How did he know this model hasn't even been released?
Damn it, he got one.
He got it.
That's got to be at least worth half a point.
That's good. Yeah, I'll give it half a point.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, half a point. That's 1.5.
Jeez, the AUSHAMMER just turned into whose line is it anyway? But okay.
Pretty
Oh,
much.
The UK version, I might add.
Well, I mean, the rules are made up and the points don't matter, so yeah. Basically that.
Holy crap.
We're basically here.
Right, we'll kick it over. There he is.
Oh no, some dirty rat person.
That's my ex-mother-in-law. Yeah. Okay. Next one.
Yeah, I'm gonna convert that later on, but I'll chat to you about that offline. Next one, guess that booty. I'm hoping you can get this one.
He's got a red butt.
Goodness me, yes, I think. What the hell?
Wings.
It's got wings. It's is that Sanguinius from A Strange Angle?
Oh wow.
Oh.
No, I've no idea. Oh, hello. No, it's him.
He didn't do anything wrong at all.
That's that guy.
Nothing wrong at all.
Actually, Dan, did he do anything wrong?
Did he do anything wrong?
Did he? There are a few parking tickets. There are some questionable things he got covered up. There's a court order that he doesn't like to talk about. But other than that, no.
Oh, so he sounds like a just run-of-the-mill standard bloke, really.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest. I want to know how he gets his hair to do that sticky uppy thing.
I can't figure it out. Doesn't work.
I just want to know why nipple horns.
When he goes to bed, he gets cling film and he wraps it up around his horns. And kind of sets it there with a little bit of holding gel, and then it's there.
I really
Dan,
hope
honestly, Dan, I think you should do the same style.
I really hope they cover that in the next Horus Heresy book, just like his bedtime routine. I'm just curious.
Just like he brushes his teeth and his horns.
And his horns.
Moisturizes, puts the curlers in, everything, the whole thing.
Yeah, 3 chapters in, and everyone's like, I wonder if this guy ever leaves his bathroom.
Like, who wrote this?
He's like, He's moved. All right, move on. This is just going to go to dark places.
It will be going. Speaking of dark places, one of my favourite models.
That's there's the distinct hint of Nurgle about that, but beyond who the.
Oh, he's almost Australian, fellas. We almost got a curse out of him then.
Yeah,
it's a battle line unit.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, or even what that is, apart from it's a loincloth that no one would ever want to go near. No, go on. Who's that?
Lovely
yeah.
White King.
Where is that tongue going? Like, what is?
There's some questions you don't need to know the answer to.
I do believe it's holding a face or a head. I should probably say.
Can we?
Oh,
can we
thank God!
I hope so. Can we get some designers, like some miniature designers, on the show so we can be like, what the hell are you thinking?
Well, see, and Dan, come in at any time here, considering you're the professional and I'm just an amateur, but the artistic process is different for everybody. For example, not the most recent, but the one before that Coldplay album was mostly written by the dude just sitting on a couch and watching pornography. So keep that in mind when you see some of these miniatures.
Is different. Creative process is different for other people. But isn't that how most creative processes work? You sit on the couch, you watch pornography, and then you publish. Yeah,
I mean that's my morning routine before coffee and then going to work. Like that's. I don't know how else you would rather start your day. And then, if on the way you manage to figure out a cool miniature model or book, well, that's just a bonus, really.
Yeah. Don't you think that picture, though, that miniature there is actually that and the Magnus of the before and after? That's before, that's him before, then he does the L'Oreal routine and the whole kind of...
Because he's worth it.
Looks like that. Wing, the hair...
So what you're telling me is we would be like, mate, how do you get your hair to do that sticky uppy thing? He would look at us and say, it won't happen overnight, but it will happen.
But it will happen. Before the club and at the club.
Which one's which?
Move on. Next bum. Let's go. There we go. What on earth is that? Is that even a bum?
Looks Eldar. I'm just
It is.
Throw it out there.
It's got to be Eldar. That's got to be. That's John Fortescue Eldar of the Northumbrian Eldars. I don't know. It's an Eldar. What more do you want?
A name of the Eldar. There's lots that I want. How long have you got? All right. Next one. What was it? What on earth is that?
The Avatar.
Oh, look at that! Look at that sword.
Oh, that's a badass. So is that the one from the video game where he impales people?
Yeah, Dawn of War used to pop up. Not many. You don't see too many of him on the table, but
maybe that's because Eldar suck.
Do you reckon he has trouble brushing his teeth? Like,
maybe that's because people just started feeling bad for bringing all of that sort of stuff.
No one feels bad for an Elder player. They're terrible people.
And congratulations to Aaron, who managed to guess that one right.
Good work, Aaron.
Next one.
Next one. This is one for Ash.
Very.
That's
Necron.
Yeah, some kind of Necron, something going on there. It's a Necron.
It's a Necron. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love your commitment to getting this. This is amazing.
This is great. I love it.
Are these like half points or what?
No, God, no. No way. There is no way. I love this bloke, but he's not getting half points for that. That's not happening.
I really feel like the more famous a person is that we bring on this show, the worse they do at this game.
Yeah, that's because words are one thing, but bums are another.
Yeah.
True.
You know, you can't spend your time looking at amazing plastic miniature bums and writing about them at the same time. Life's just not that way.
Can I just say there's a surprising amount of truth in what you just said? Yeah. I don't play the game as anything like as much as I would want to because I'm spending so much time writing.
Yeah,
if I play, it's the same as the video games I write. I don't play video games very much because if I did, I'd never get any fucking work done.
Priorities.
Oh, look, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but the dude that plays Thor, obviously, Chris Hemsworth, pretty sure he's got a house down here, and you know, and I don't think he gets much work done. Yeah, I don't think he gets much work done when he's down here either. So maybe I think he's setting a good example for people all over the world. Really, just move down here and get less done.
Get less done. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's why NBN's so terrible. Everyone keeps taking smokers.
And there is that too. Yes. Alrighty, next one.
Next one.
Oh, what the hell's that?
I don't know, but he's got his sacks on his back as well. So
I've got a really pointy sword. Maybe an orc.
That's some kind of orc. It's an AoS orc. His name's Bernhard.
Gary.
I don't know.
I think we've already used Gary. Bernhard, final answer. AoS Bernhard. Here we go.
That's him.
You know, we're going to be like, no, that's not right. But then Dan's going to release a book about Bernhard the orc.
Yeah.
And we're going to be fucked.
And it's just like, and it's titled "All My Friends Are Dead."
All my friends. I had that book and I like that book. That's a good book.
Volume 1. My name is Bernhard. I mean, that's it.
I was there the day that Bernhard fell.
Yeah, so for all you Dan Abnett fans listening in, if you are looking forward to a new Gaunt's Ghost novel, no, sorry to disappoint, it's going to be Bernhard the Orc.
That's
Bernhard
it.
the Orc. Bernhard the Orc. The Further Adventures of Bernhard the Orc. That is
very dark looking butt.
Very dark.
Cylindrical.
I'm a little bit concerned that those bum cheeks are quite parted. There's been some damage there.
I thought you had some bite.
I'm guessing he sat on one of those Eldar bikes or something.
Clearly a CrossFitter by the looks of it.
I don't. Yeah, again, I've no idea.
What is that? I'm guessing it's an assassin.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of the assassins. Take your pick.
The third one.
The chick one. Okay,
Brendan
please,
the
please,
It's Steve the assassin.
please be a chick.
You know Steve.
Oh no.
It is
I've got this
Steve.
bottle. I've
Questioning
got this
sexualities.
in front of me every single day. Oh my goodness.
See, that to me now. See, that's what Knight Rider should look like. Anyway,
Needs more flames.
All right.
yeah, it's pretty badass.
Needs
Next
more
one.
dragons.
Next one. Bad.
What the hell is that? That's some sort of corn blood. I'm gonna go with it's corn.
Yeah. Skulls
Yeah.
corn.
Yeah, corn.
Corn. Age of Sigma model. Hero.
Horns or not?
Corn's always got horns.
They've all got horns. Does he have a sword?
Hero. Blood Stoker.
Bloodletter?
Bloodletter?
Herald of Corn.
What is it?
Pretty much a fancy bloodletter.
We're all
It's
terrible at this
Elf. How did
game.
we miss Elf? We all lose 1 point.
Oh.
Can you put that down? David's at -3 for the shitty bums from last week. Scotty's at -1. I'm at -1. You're at -1.
All right.
All right.
I'm hoping this next one's a little bit easier on everyone.
Hey, this looks familiar.
Ooh.
Hoping it looks familiar to some people.
That would indeed be Gregor Eisenhorn.
Oh, there we go. 1 point.
Don't even one.
Now,
Good old
way to
Gregor.
go. Way to go.
Oh,
Definitely.
look at that. Is that a new book? Is that a new book? Oh,
Yeah.
mate. That
Now-
looks like a new book.
Looks
Thank
What
you,
I will
Dan.
say as well in regards to that model, Dan, is that tonight we would love for you to give one away to our viewers, along with a custom base, which is really awesome as well. And that's from Weird Games, weird-games.net. Go check them out. They're pretty awesome. As well as some paints to go with it as well, because why would you not?
Kindly
Well,
provided by the nice folks at Irresistible Force, as per usual.
Oh, those bloody legends. Also, all of their stuff is on their website. Go check it out. There's a link in the description of our video below. If you want to see what we're giving out. It's also on that page as well, so go check that out.
Who's going to get the prize?
Well, that's entirely up to Dan. It's his show tonight. We are just his guests.
Oh yeah.
So, all right, now 'tis the end of Guess That Booty and the news. So we're going to say goodbye to David and Scott. They're just going to mute their mics and go and hang out and chat and get some questions for us.
Thanks, lads. Love your work.
You guys soon.
And we're going to ask you all of the tough questions. Now, some of these you've heard a million times. Some of them, obviously, you probably haven't. Now, I want to ask you one question myself first.
Sure.
As a jaded reader, where's all my fantasy stuff gone, Dan? What are you doing, buddy?
Oh, for me specifically.
Yeah, I need some Dan fantasy, and that sounds a lot more suspect when I say it out loud.
No, it does actually. Sounds very suspect.
Needs to include Greg the Orc now.
Yeah. Well, after Bernhard the Orc, there's going to be I love writing fantasy. The problem is that I can only write as much as I can write, and Black Library clearly wants me to write particular things. So when you've got a series going like the Eisenhorn books, I know. Yeah, me and my wife wrote that and the sequel. There you go.
Bloody amazing, freaking amazing. Loved it.
The general consensus is that, of course, the 40K and Horus, as books sell better than the fantasy stuff. So if they've got a chance for me to write them a book, they're going to say, "Can you write the next Gaunt, the next Eisenhorn, the next Horus book, or whatever like that?" I do have a huge desire to write some more fantasy stuff, because things like that and Hammers of Ulrich and Riders of the Dead are books I loved writing. So maybe, particularly now the topography of Warhammer has changed and has now sort of settled back down again, I might go in and discover what the hell was done to Dark Blade and then write some more stuff. But yeah, it's not beyond
all over that like a fat kid on a cupcake. I'm just saying, like, okay. I would buy them all. All the things.
Big fan.
Definitely. No, I do love. I'm a fantasy player. I play a lot of Age of Sigmar, and your fantasy books I think are amazing. For those of you that don't know Gilead's Blood, I do believe this is a 2-part, actually. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's two books of that.
Check it out. It's amazing. It's a really good book. And there's a lot of awesome fantasy stuff that you've written. I just wanted to ask, because there's always that little bit of hope that one day I'm going to buy
back in the
book.
In the early days when I started writing for them, I almost alternated between the two. I'd do a 40K and then I'd do a fantasy Warhammer and go back and forth. And then it really became that, particularly when things like Warhammer, Gaunt's Ghosts and Eisenhorn really took off. It was like, just write the next one of those. We want it, So that's where I got very much sort of taken down a particular siding into 40K and then to Horus Heresy.
Okay. Brinley, do you mind if I ask one more quick question from one of our viewers?
Okay,
or have you got a specific one you'd like to do?
I do have a question, but by all means, we're here for the viewers.
So Ashley Knudsen has he's a fan of your comics and stuff, and your works there as well. And what he really wants to know basically is, how did you get into the comics, and can we expect some comics from you in the future?
Yeah,
feel free to drop hints as well and give us some juicy information.
I've been writing comics for a very, very long time. In fact, that was my first professional job out of college, was to start writing comics. I worked for Marvel UK and stuff like that. So I've written for Marvel and DC, and I still do that. I split my time between writing for comics and from novels. So, any given day you find me working, I'll be writing the next chapter of my Warhammer novel, and then might be going off and writing, I don't know, Aquaman or Titans or whatever I'm on for DC, or whatever. I've always done that, and I was writing comics for Marvel and DC for over 10 years before Games Workshop came along and said, "Would you like to start writing for us?" This was a long time ago, and I was a freelance writer, so I said yes, and then that suddenly became a very big part of what I write, and I love doing it, and I love the fact that I've been there for long enough to have made some sort of impact in the way those worlds worked. But yes, comics, and then an opportunity to write, obviously. Comics for 40K. Back in the day, there were quite a lot of them. The last one I did was probably the Horus Heresy graphic novel I did with Neil, which was the the huge spaceship starship combat thing, which came out a couple of years ago. But we're still talking about doing some more. So yeah, on any given day, I'm writing comics anyway. At the moment, you can find me writing Aquaman and Silencer, which I invented, and Titans for DC, and loads of strips for 2000 AD. And hopefully, not before too long, I'll start writing 40k or Horus Heresy in comic book form as well.
Oh man, I cannot wait for that.
Oh, don't say that to me. I'm gonna go so broke. Right, slowly. So
make sure you release like exclusive limited edition leather bound ones, so Ryan runs out of money extra quickly, and I can laugh. So he'll have nice books.
Thank you. Yes,
you're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
You're so nice.
The moral support. Nice. That's what we.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, and actually, I mean, there's quite a few comics and stuff like that for Marvel and DC that people might not be aware you actually you actually had quite a big part in, like the Knights of Pendragon.
Yes,
one that springs to mind.
Yeah.
Punisher series.
Yeah, there was War Machine.
Yeah. Punisher. It was weird. It was weird when the Punisher Netflix series started. There were lots of articles about, you know, sort of Punisher comics you should read before you watch the Netflix series, and some of my earlier Punisher work was on that list every single time.
Yeah.
Definitely read it before you watch it. Definitely.
Big fan. I still think the Punisher character in the comic books is still a lot darker than what they've been able to portray on screen so far, which is
very much so.
Yeah, they've only really lightly touched on like that really chronic like PTSD and psychosis that he like just goes through.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then there was the real extremely British side of you that was like, oh, I guess I should do some Doctor Who stuff.
Oh yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah. All these things, I like to say, are simultaneous. So in the course of a working day, I can be working on you know, Doctor Who, 40k, Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever else that I'm doing. So yeah, I move between these things at a fairly rapid pace to keep everything going. And if I stay anywhere too long, I get bored. So I'm just, you know, I move in to do a several hours work on something and then move on to whatever else it is.
Yeah. And then what about the oh darn it, Angry Robot, the Angry Robot stuff?
Yeah.
So that was post 20. That was after 2010. That was.
I've written 2 novels for them, and probably going to write another one very soon. So that's me as an original fiction, not licensed, not franchised. It's my own creation. So the novels, they're Triumph and Embedded are the 2. Triumph is a sort of comedy fantasy, and Embedded is hard SF, military SF. So yeah, that's
the journalist one. Yeah, the journo goes.
Journalist one in a war zone who's literally implanted into a frontline soldier, so he can from the front line. Yeah.
So those books, for anybody watching, I mean, you've read the 40k ones, you've read the 30k ones, and all the rest of it. You already know that the writing's really good. Go check those ones out as well, because there's a lot more to Dan's universe than what some of our viewers might actually be aware of. So I definitely encourage people to check them out too.
I have to say that it's quite weird. Until the last few years, a lot of people thought I was 2 or 3 different people. I'd meet people at conventions, for instance, and they'd say, "Oh, you're Dan Abnett. You're the guy who writes the 40k. Do you know the Dan Abnett who writes Guardians of the Galaxy?" I'd say, "Yeah, that's also me." And they didn't know that I did. You know, on one hand, write Guardians of the Galaxy, and they make the films out of that, and then at the same time, I write 40k, and they don't realise that it's the same person. So it's only in the last few years they have realised that there's. I mean, let's face it. In my time, I've written Thomas the Tank Engine and Care Bears and Mr. Men, and also I started out in the junior section of comics at the very beginning of my career. So I've written a bit of everything.
Have you considered like maybe a Thomas the Tank Engine and like Gaunt's Ghost crossover? I'm just saying it could be epic. It could be terrifying.
Yeah.
I'd read it to my children.
Terrifying. Clearly, you haven't read Fusion, my friend. All right. There's some crazy stuff that's going on in Dan's head. I don't know how you get all that out onto the page, mate.
I love it.
It's impressive. Here's an idea for you. Next superhero comic book season series is about a bald man named Dan who's got an amazing beard. He writes a lot of books in comics and stuff like that, and realizes that he's able to make them come to life and kick everybody's ass. The end. You're welcome. $1 million idea, I know.
That's great. I'm writing it down now.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, am I going to win something? Yeah. All right, Brinley, hit us, man. What you got?
I've got two questions. Okay, so and they're actually both Gaunt's Ghost related. That was a series that actually got me into.
Oh no, dude, that's for the other Dan Abnett. We've got the Guardians of the Galaxy one on here.
Oh, my bad.
Wrong
person. But okay, so I've read everything up until the War Master, and then I read the War Master, and there are some interesting, not title changes, but there are keywords that are inserted throughout the book. So Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum, Scions, a couple of very recent Games Workshop names that didn't originally appear in your books that have now appeared in War Master. Was that an initiative from Black Library to include those extra names, or was that something that you decided to throw in?
Well, first of all, they keep me stocked with reference as we go along. So every new edition of anything that comes out, I get to see it at least in PDF form. I get to read stuff. I get to discuss it with the game designers, and I just, you know, if I'd been able to call the Imperial Guard Astra Militarum from the very first Gaunt book 20 years ago, I would have done, because that's what they're called now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I just
cool.
Gently keep continuity apparently seamless, then I do. There are certain things that I wouldn't necessarily change because they're well established, and I would say that's more to do with the fact that the universe is huge, and you know certain things don't necessarily take effect all the way through consistently every single time. So some people, for instance, have asked me whether the Gaunt's Ghost books will be affected by the new things that are happening in 40k, the big events, and I'm going, well, probably not, because it's a hell of a long way away, and it's probably several hundred years before, so probably not. But I'm also thinking, yeah, but I don't know how many of these novels I'm going to write yet exactly. So at some point there may be some overlap with those sorts of things. And when a major term like Astra Militarum is introduced to overlay a previously existing term, I don't try and, you know, I don't have a scene where somebody walks in and goes, "Good morning, sir. Commander Gaunt, we've decided to change the name to Astra Militarum. You all right with that? Great, fantastic." I try and drop it into the text as if it's what they've always called it. It's just he has happened to mention it so far in the previous 14. So, but yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't want them to feel obsolete. Really, I don't want them to feel obsolete. And I actually really do like. I mean, I'm very familiar with the terms and terminology that they have had for years and years and years, and that they are now beginning to phase out and replace. And I think it's because they want to take more creative ownership of it and make it less, as it were, is their universe, so they want to have their own specific terms, and I applaud that. So if I can support that, I will.
Yeah, that's good. I definitely like reading War Master. Like, it's an amazing book. If you guys haven't read it yet, definitely go pick it up and read it. It will keep you well and truly occupied for like as long as it takes to read it. You just cannot put that book down. But yeah, just like obviously I play Imperial Guard. I'm just like, oh wow, these terms are now in part of the story, and so I'm just like, wow, this is really interesting, and it just got me curious about whether or not, like, how that process went about with all of it. And that's brilliant. No, I think that's really good. Like, willingly supporting their IP, I think that's really good. I think that's a really good way to
I mean, I feel like I've got a vested interest in it. If nothing else, there's so much of the IP really invisibly that I've had an influence on because I've been writing the novels for so long, because there's so many terms. Particularly early on, there were so many terms and words that I invented in the novels because there wasn't a word for something, but then not completely part of the game. You open any codex and the words are there, and I don't go, "Oh my god, I invented that. They owe me money." I just go, "That's brilliant that I've helped with the world building." I mean, things back in the day when I started writing the Gaunt's Ghost books, you know, I invented words like Voxcaster and Prometheum and Data Slate and you know, you know, there's loads of words that are now every single codex. Because there wasn't a word for them before, and I need.
Did you get a warm and fuzzy feeling when you saw the Tanith First and Only appear in? I can't remember which that codex from.
Yes. Yeah. Whenever there is a reference to those sorts of things, you see I don't know, Sabbath worlds appear on a star chart, or the Gaunt's ghosts get a little write up in something, or there's you know, that sort of thing. Just I always get a kick out of that. It's nice to feel sort of integrated. Even in the Black Library offices, they call my corner of the 40k universe the Sabbath worlds area. They call that the Dannyverse.
The Dannyverse.
Yeah, I'm excited to play in it, but I do always want to try and make sure that it is still fully integrated with the 40k universe. If anything else, forget the books. What you should think of as me as a referee, or as it were a dungeon master, running an enormous campaign that I happen to put into novels rather than play with a group of people. So I'm only doing what every single player in the world does, which is create their own little part of the universe and name their chapter or their regiment or whatever like that, and you know, play that and invent the stories that come out of that. They tie in as much or as little as they want to the established background continuity. But the whole point of Warhammer and with Age of Sigmar is that it's everything they've published plus what you're bringing to it. It's your ideas, your input, your version of 40k. They all meet together, but it's your version of it you play. And really, what you're reading is my version. You know, that's the version that I play in my head. That's the version that I engage with.
Oh man, absolutely love it.
Now, before we go on, I just need to also mention, because obviously a lot of your Australian readers are here, and just to give you a bit of an insight into those Australian readers, Danasta has said, "Oh my God, Thomas is my jam," referring to Thomas the Tank Engine. And also, Minecraft Merrick would like you to please say, "Put a shrimp on the Barbie."
Put a shrimp on the Barbie.
You are so British.
Wow.
Makes me smile.
I was trying to think of an even more British. Excuse me, would you mind placing a shrimp upon the barbecue?
Wow, I've just found my new voicemail.
That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome.
That's great.
And also, there's this has been mentioned a couple of times actually as well. A lot of people think that there needs to be an R-rated Punisher series, just to really, and not because people want to see people getting their kits off and doing the horizontal folk dance, but just because to really get a feel of the brutality of the characters, the environment, and everything else that goes on with it. It probably needs something of that level. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. It's really, the Punisher is a really complex character. Whenever I've written him, particularly in things like Punisher Year One, where I got to do his origin story, which I think is the thing they borrowed particularly in the Netflix series because it was about the PTSD and everything. He is an extremely realistic and you know character who is both terrifying and also you have a lot of empathy for him because of what he's been through. But of course, the Punisher's origin was in the Marvel Universe as a Spider-Man villain. He was kind of like he was just villain of the week in Spider-Man. A guy who came along and it's like, well, I'm a vigilante like you. It's just that I kill these criminals. And it was like, oh, difference in modus operandi. And nobody foresaw then exactly how complex and big the Punisher would become, how successful as a character. And at the time, he was a kind of object lesson. It was a moral demonstration of how someone like Spider-Man could go too far by taking the law into his own hands.
But is he going too far though? Because I as grown adults, a lot of us sit there going, "Why do you keep letting Dr. Octopus just get stuck into a cage, Spider-Man? Fucking kill him." Yeah,
that was meant to be the moral question. The complexity is that when you have that kind of comic book morality and a very strong morality in something like Spider-Man, where he's a good guy doing things as a vigilante. And everything's a little larger than life, and then you have the rather more real world morality of you know what the Punisher's doing right or wrong and that kind of stuff, and you try and set them together, and they kind of grate against each other because they kind of don't fit. The Punisher's realism and brutality don't really fit the comic book morality of Spider-Man and vice versa. I think it's interesting. That's why I think the Punisher having his own series on Netflix is a great thing because you can just look at him individually. And I think yeah, why not make it R-rated? It ought to be to really fully explore those ideas.
Well, in that case, because I'm sure that everybody, all of the Netflix staff and managers, CEOs and everybody and all of their key stakeholders have nothing better to do with their time tonight than watch AUSHAMMER.
Cool.
They're all listening. So what I'm going to ask basically is from here on out, if you could just write all the screenplays for it, that'd be great, mate. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Done deal. Now, the other thing as well was the Judge Dredd universe.
Yes.
Not many people. Yeah, like I love it, and in a way, you made it a little bit. It was almost like the Horus Heresy started to seep into the Judge Dredd, or did it go the other way? I'm not too sure.
I always found Judge Dredd to be very after reading like Eisenhorn, Ravenor, going back and reading old Judge Dredd comics, you're just like, this is very inquisitorial.
Yeah. There is definitely there's a I mean, I've been reading 2000 AD, which is where Judge Dredd is published. Yeah. Reading that since I was a kid. I mean, I've now written for more issues of 2000 AD than I read before I was a professional. But even so, I've written a lot for them. The Dredd universe is extraordinary. It is fundamentally satirical. It shouldn't be forgotten. It is new satire. It's absolutely laced through with what I might describe as kind of a sort of a dark British satirical SF, which is a particular, very, very different from what you might read in an American thing. And actually, I think it's the same creative spark that gave rise to Warhammer. I think those two things came out of a very similar place in a kind of...
Well, I was thinking more like Insurrection.
No, absolutely. Well, that's where I was going to. I worked for 2000 AD, wrote strips like Sinister Dexter and stuff for them. But when they finally said, do you want to write something set in the Judge Dredd part of the universe? And we did Insurrection. They specifically said, you've written so much stuff for Warhammer. Can you get a bit of Future War into the Dredd universe and sort of take it off world? So there was definitely, I was borrowing and that interestingly, from the point of view of I mean, Insurrection ran for 3 series and was very successful, and it sits nicely alongside the Earthbound Judge Dredd stories, but it's now turned into sort of metamorphosed into an ongoing strip for the Judge Dredd magazine called Lawless, which I've now been writing for several years, illustrated by Phil Winslade, who is an amazing artist, which is about a female judge who is a frontier judge. It's very much a space western. But the point is, Lawless is her keeping the law and order in a small frontier town on the planet, which was the site of the last battle in Insurrection. So there is a kind of continuity overlap there, and there are references back to this war that's been and gone. And that's now turned into a very character-driven stuff, but the memory of that big-scale war that I brought into it is still there.
And that war, that's the bit that really gets me, because obviously, I love the Horus Heresy series above anything else, and the futuristic sci-fi sort of stuff. And I could really get the feeling of that massive galaxy-spanning scale. And it was just really amazing. I really enjoyed it.
We had a fan. Colin McNeil's an amazing artist, and he really brought a lot to it in terms of that scale. But yeah, it was great fun thing to do.
Oh man, absolutely love it. So we've had a little bit of a competition running this week, and there was a joke competition. It's like, if you could tell Dan one joke, what you tell him, and they get bonus points for either. For it firstly actually being funny, and then for it being related to something that you created. So cool. Like to try and mediate the amount of dad jokes that we get flooded with.
Actually, for this, David and Scotty, if you're there, can you unmute your mics for a moment? We have need of your services, good sirs.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't.
Okay, we've got one. Have we got 2? David, are you there? All right, now our job for this is to, because I don't have a laughter button, Brindley's going to read out these jokes, and our laugh will go something like this. Ha, 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 all simultaneously.
Oh, God, this is just going to be strange. All right, so do you want me just to read ones in the chat, or do you want me to go through? Oh, we've got 3 really good ones that are actually surprisingly character-related. But then let's do those 3, because you've already chosen the top 3 anyway, and... Right, so,
and Dan, if you could give these a score out of 10, because Brindley's got the jokes, we'll provide the cued laughter. Now, just give them a score out of 10, and Brindley will announce the winner. So we just really wanted to show our appreciation to everybody that watches AuSHAMMER, but also to really get a bit more Dan Abnett in their lives. So Brindley's chosen these jokes. And they're really actually not that bad at all. And we've got 1 prize. First place will be the Eisenhorn with the base and the paints, which is all yours to give away tonight. Mr. Abnett? And the second one, and my personal favorite as well, actually, is a copy of Deathwing. Now, this is a very special copy because it is signed by yourself right there. And I don't know if you can actually see that on the screen, but it's also got Dan's own unique personal library stamp on there as well. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. It comes from my archive of books.
Oh wow!
So
very special, exclusive item, very exclusive.
Definitely, and on top of that, it's a bloody awesome book.
Yeah.
So,
Good read. Good
yeah,
read.
it was a bloody great book. So,
I realize it.
So we've got those two that we can give away tonight as well.
All right. Well, I hope you're ready for some really terrible jokes.
Go for it.
All right. So the first one is from Michael Cruz. What do you call an emaciated ghost? Gaunt.
Ha ha ha
ha ha ha. All right. This next one's a little bit better. All right. So this one's from Griffio Grant. Inquisitor Haldane walks into a bar and the barman asks, "Why the long face?"
Yeah.
Now, just for those of you that don't actually,
we've also got a picture of what his face looks like for those you don't know.
Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah,
that's pretty good. Are you sharing? Have you,
I did. Yes.
Oh, you did. All right. Okay, and the last one. This one's from Tim Barkley. What's an Inquisitor's favorite part of a unicorn? It's eyes and horn. Oh my god.
Ha
ha. Well, there you go. That's the three you get to choose from.
I'm gonna be honest, Dan. I didn't want you to just have to ask the same old questions every night, mate. All right. I couldn't do that to you.
If I've got to pick a winner out of those, the Inquisitor Haldane one genuinely made me laugh.
There we go. Right.
So that was Tim Barkley. Get hold of us, mate. Message us on Facebook.
No. Griffio Grant got that one.
Oh, was it? Sorry. Yes, you're right. Griffio Grant. Griffio Grant. Message us on Facebook. You've got paints. You've got Eyes and Horn, the model, which is amazing, and then you've got the awesome Weirdscapes base as well. Now this has a couple of different build options. It's going to look really cool for him out there in the sewers somewhere, purging heretics and whatnot. Now the paints themselves are also pretty darn awesome. You better actually contact us soon, because if you don't, I'm going to force Brinley to paint more of my miniatures with these. They're really cool. It's the Copper series from Metal and Alchemy. And all in all, it's over $100 worth of prizes there, thanks to Irresistible Force. So hopefully we'll hear from Griffio soon, because if not, that mini is totes fine.
Man, for everyone who submitted jokes, just reading some of them, like, you either made my skin crawl or I'd be laughing in public and people looking at me strange. So
correct. Now, who was runner up there?
Runner up. So that's definitely. So which one was your second favorite? Was it the?
My second favorite was the favorite part of the unicorn, which was, I think.
Yeah.
So that was Tim Barkley. Sorry, that was my pick, which is why I said his name first. I'm sorry. And to be honest, I think
you get a book. Good on you.
I don't know if I can give this away. Brinley,
break your wrist.
I don't know. Brinley, can you read? I don't think you can read. So you come and get this book off.
I can only paint. That's how you work. I'll paint your miniatures and then you read me stories at bedtime.
Tim, this book is very special, Tim, and it truly really is a very, very rare copy as well. So
one of a kind.
He won't know the difference.
I hope you appreciate this book as much as AuSHAMMER did receiving it from Dan. Tim, contact us on Facebook, and we will organise shipping for you, of course, and get that out to you. And if you don't, it's mine. It is mine. So that's those giveaways. I am pretty stoked with that, Brinley. Those jokes were pretty good, mate. You must have had a hard time picking those ones out.
Oh man, there were some awful ones. Griffio Grant actually just got back to us.
Damn.
He's claimed his prize. He's very happy with it, and he says, "Love Dan, you're a beautiful man." I'm not even kidding.
There you go, Dan. If you're ever in the neighborhood, mate, I don't think you're going to have to walk far for a good time.
It's pretty good. Yeah, so that's those were the jokes. I think
those are the worst and best jokes.
Those are the worst and
that I just don't understand how. Yeah, I just don't. Now we do have another question, which is from the majority of the community here, Dan. Have you got any little tidbits for us, stuff that we may or may not be able to look forward to in the near future, or just anything that you may currently be working on?
Yeah. Let me talk about that then. Well, obviously, War Master, the latest Gaunt, came out at the end of last year, finally, after a long delay. I won't go into why it was delayed. It wasn't entirely my fault. But anyway, there was a long delay, and it finally came out. And then, to everybody's shock, including mine, it was closely followed by the fourth Eisenhorn, the Magos, which you flashed up a picture of just now, which was a novel I actually ended up writing by accident. It is possible.
What is it? Did you just slip over one day and your pencil just slipped into the sharpener and then you went whoops and came out?
Seriously,
oh no, another Eisenhorn. What happened?
I'm feeling a bit Eisenhorn.
They asked. There are quite a few Eisenhorn and Ravener short stories that I've written over the last 15 or so years, and the idea was they wanted to collect them together into a book, an anthology that would go alongside the trilogy. And they said, "Will you write a new story to fit into that? It'll probably be a sort of 15,000 word short story. Can you do that?" And I went, "I'm happy to. That'd be lovely." I had this great idea. It was a great idea that connected up all the old short stories chronologically, the story of his career. I thought that'll be good. I started writing it. It was going really well. It was going really well. I was really enjoying writing. It was so fun to write Eisenhorn again after such a long time. And I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. And I finally went, it was going really well, but I thought I'm nowhere near the end. And I did a word check, and it was like coming up on the 20,000 word mark. And I thought, I just let them know. I said, look, this is going to be a novella. It's a little bit longer than I was expecting. And they said, doesn't matter. We're happy to publish you. You keep writing until the story's finished. So I kept writing without doing any kind of spell check over the course of several weeks, just loving writing this story. It was going so well. And I got to the end, and I looked at and I went, right, the story's now finished. Brilliant. It's quite long. I wonder how many words I've written. And it was 90,000 words.
Yes.
Which is
holy crap.
So I'd written a novel without realizing I was writing a novel, so effectively by accident. So the Magos, which you flashed a picture of earlier, is all of those short stories. It's a collection of all the short stories ever in the right order, plus a whole new novel. The Eisenhorn books were only meant to be a trilogy, but now they are a trilogy plus one. So the highly unexpected fourth part of the Eisenhorn trilogy, which fits.
So the highly anticipated, unexpected,
accidental surprise. Yeah.
Love it. I love
If
it.
you know your Eisenhorn novels, there are the 3 Eisenhorn novels, and there are 3 Ravener novels, and then there are going to be the 3 Beckwin novels, the first of which Pariah came out of. Now this one, the Magos, actually fits after the Ravener books and before Pariah. It is to Pariah what Rogue One was to Star Wars. It's sort of setting up the final trilogy in a fairly big way. So those of you who are keen Inquisitive novel readers, you should know that having written that by accident, I enjoyed it so much that I'm now fully committed to going back to finishing the Beckwin trilogy. So Penitent, which is the second, and Pandemonium, which is the third, will be appearing very, very soon. Right now, literally right now, if I could turn my screen around somehow and show you my screen, you would see that I'm working on Anarch, which is the next Gaunt novel, which is the sequel to War Master, which is out later this year, and is the end of that arc of novels. It's a huge explosive ending to this major arc of stories. I wouldn't say it's the last Gaunt novel, but it's going to feel like it, because my God, the death and mayhem so far, and I'm only I haven't written the whole thing yet. But anyway, that's a fairly epic thing.
So basically what's going to happen is, what was the name of our orc? What was his name again? Bernhard the orc. Bernhard the orc's going to rock up riding Thomas the Tank Engine and just destroy everybody. And the last page just says, and then they all placed a shrimp on the barbecue.
Yeah. Almost got it word for word there.
Mate, it's writing itself. We got to catch up like this more often.
You have to include Inquisitor Haldane. He just appears somewhere. And he just walks into a bar. Barman asks him why long face, and then he just shoots him.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that's pretty much the whole. That's how you write novels, mate. That's
Wow.
Well, oh God, I need to read a book. I'm going to call up some of the boys. We need to have a few beers, and we'll just knock this out in one night. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Now,
apparently Dan Abnett reckons you can write them by accident. So what the fuck? Let's go for it.
Oh, it looks like anyone can do it.
One. You can write 90,000 words. Like,
yeah.
That's only a minor thesis. Who cares? Let's just do it.
Now, you mentioned Ravener. It's a really good series. It's one that I've read. And unfortunately, quite a while ago, I lost those books. And recently, AUSHAMMER received a package, and I was surprised to see this in there. Now, opening it up, though, Dan.
Are you fangirling, Ryan?
No. I've got a question here. It says, to Ryan, repent, heretic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dan, now, clearly you're very good at identifying heretics, because I am indeed one. Now,
got him.
What is the best way to identify a heretic?
Well, I think there are several key ways. First of all, of course, he turns a funny shade of green every time you mention the name of the Emperor. But more particularly, he's likely to run. I don't know. I'm just suggesting a good clue would be he's likely to run a podcast, maybe around about 8 o'clock in the evening, Brisbane time. You know, maybe.
Shit, I'm a heretic. Damn it!
The Auto Hereticus has a list of indicators, and it's got the words Brisbane 8 o'clock podcast written on the list. It's there.
You could have been like, "Hey, bro, just thought I'd send you this book. Thanks for all the laughs and friendship. Lots of love, Dan." But no, it's Repent Heretic. Can you send some more books, and just keep in mind that Brindley plays fucking town. All right. I've got a few things that you can write in some books that I would fly there to pick them up myself. The other thing I also wanted to touch on, because we've covered a lot of your comics, we've covered a lot of the writing and stuff like that with the books and the novels and all the rest of it. But also there is the screenplay side of things. Now, you've written some screenplay as well. The Ultramarine comes to mind. Now, run me through Ultramarine, because that for me was a bit of a shock, actually, if I'm honest with you, because I didn't see that coming. Like, I didn't see any CGI film coming, to be honest. Where'd that come from?
It was an idea put together, and this is going back a long time. So I mean, the entire process is now so outdated. But it was an idea put together by Games Workshop. They brought me in to write a script. I wrote a script, and then it sat dormant for several years before they then went ahead and wrote it. They produced the movie. It was done so blind. I think the end result is interesting. It's got some good moments, and it was great fun to work on. But there were so many missed opportunities. For instance, you know, the budget wasn't there to do all the things that were needed that could be done in a story like that. And also, I was sort of making it up as go along. So I was putting in lots of things that I thought would be cheap to animate, and not a lot of things that I thought would be expensive to animate. And it turns out that somebody should have told me that I got those two things the wrong way around. So the things that there are also stuff that I put in there that I thought was going to be cheap was expensive, and took away budget from the things that I thought were going to be cheap and I wanted more. Anyway, the point is, it was an extremely interesting learning curve, and I think it is, like I said, it's got an entertaining. It was worth it it was worth doing from my point of view to go down to the Abbey Road studios where they recorded the voiceovers, and sit there and watch John Hurt and Terence Stamp and everybody do the voices. It was amazing. Meet them all, watch them doing the voices, watch them doing the acting. That was fantastic. So great learning experience for me. Interesting cinema experience for everybody else, I would say.
Well, I mean, looking like you said, it was a long time. I think it was, what, 2009 that was animated? Maybe it would have started at 08 even. Now, that was Games Workshop and Codex.
About 2004, 2005 as well.
Oh, yeah, so it's, I mean, we're going back so far now. But I think it was really good because for me, I watched it and I was like, yep, that's cool. Is this a toe in the water? Like, are you guys testing the water? Am I going to get like some epic movie soon from Paramount Pictures and Games Workshop, and you're just going to purge heretics everywhere?
The honest truth is, I honestly don't know because I'm not privy to that kind of high-level discussion at Games Workshop. But to me, one of the reasons they did it that way in a kind of comparatively small way rather than getting a huge studio to make it was because Games Workshop has always wanted to maintain creative control over their IP. They've always wanted to do that. The moment someone like Disney comes along and makes a Warhammer movie, it's no longer Games Workshop's to influence the way that world works in the same sort of way.
Look at Rogue One.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'd be pretty excited to see Mickey Mouse in like Terminator armor, just like purging people. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well,
it's like, and then little boy, I fed your heretic parents to my dog.
But the thing is, the difference now to 10 years ago or even 5 years ago is that obsession that Games Workshop's had not to let anybody else play with their toys, anybody else who's got a big budget to play with their toys. I think we've seen so much. We've seen the Marvel Universe movies. We've seen what Netflix does. We've seen the fact that these things are now not only going out there and being enormously successful when they have a movie or good television adaptation, but we've seen that things can have a movie or television adaptation that isn't necessarily good and survive and still be an IP again afterwards. Mm-hmm. So I think that I would say in my bones, and this is just a hunch, the chances of Games Workshop now getting on board with somebody like you said, Paramount or Disney or somebody like that, making a big budget movie is much more likely now than it was when we did that. Yeah. Simply because if it goes well, it's brilliant. If it goes badly, they'll just carry on doing what they're doing. Whereas if it had happened 10 years ago and they'd done it and it had gone badly, it would have been the end of 40K.
Well, they've got an Eisenhorn RPG game on mobile, and that's actually quite good. Like that's really well done. If you guys don't, I mean, it costs a little bit of money, but honestly, the immersion,
it is a really good game. Yeah, absolutely.
The Eisenhorn game was great fun. I visited the guys who were making that, but what they did was they've literally adapted the books. It's not in the setting of. It's literally a telling of the story. So it's a straight adaptation.
Brilliant.
In fact, in the first opening sort of few minutes of the game, when Eisenhorn arrives and meets the Guardians at the Ice Tomb, the first voice you hear is me because I recorded the voices for the Tomb Guardian just so that they get my voice in there somewhere. So there you go.
Oh wow, there you go. And I'd be really happy to see because when Space Marine came out, I'm just like, oh, it's sort of like an open ending. I was sort of expecting like maybe like a mini series like the Clone Wars was doing around the same time, but it never happened. But I really think that a Netflix series on the darker side, like it doesn't necessarily have to be Eisenhorn or Ravenor, but like we have an established universe there. That'd be a pretty good stepping off point.
I think there could be a great Netflix series about an Inquisitor. I think the best thing they could do is to create a new Inquisitor, a new set of characters, so that they've got story freedom, so that they're not adapting a book. They're not disappointing people's hopes and fears. There's plenty of surprises packed in there because no one knows where the story's going because no one's read the story yet. But it's still got the intimacy of being a small group of strong characters operating in the 40K universe. What a great introduction to 40K that would be.
I think they should, just to fuck around with the actors a little bit, they should also throw in a Sisters of Silence in there, just so that we've got somebody there that's got to start talking for somebody. And then you've got this actor that's like, man, I played a pivotal role, but I literally did not say a word. That'd be it for me. That'd be awesome.
So if they can get Disney to finance it, the Sister of Silence would end up being a Disney princess, which I think is so cool.
I never thought about that. Yeah, right there in between Frozen. Maybe she'll get her own song. It'll just be 3 minutes of silence.
But you only hum it.
Yeah. It's just white noise for 3 minutes.
They're just gonna be signing it in like battle signs, and I'll be like, what is going on?
So we've covered your comics, we've covered your books, we've covered the screenplay and stuff like that as well. Personal question for you, favorite book, and it doesn't need to be Warhammer related, and it can be your own if you want to shamelessly self-promote, but what's your favorite book?
I read absolutely all the time. I read fiction and non-fiction. I stoke the furnace of how I create stuff by just pouring words into it. It's the only way it works. My all-time favorite book is a book by Ray Bradbury, the American science fiction author, although it's a sort of supernatural fantasy book of his called Dandelion Wine, which I read when I was a kid and I reread every couple of years. It's a great book. It's quite spooky. It's kind of like a 1930s Stranger Things. It's great. And that's an absolute classic. I would also always refer people to the other books I always go back and reread. I reread Dune every few years. The great Frank Herbert.
Oh man.
Amazing book.
Awesome series.
Again, seminally influential on 40K and everything like that as well. There's no doubt about that. But the one that the people haven't heard of, the American author, science fiction author, veteran, I believe he's just recently passed away. But Jack Vance, who I don't know if you're familiar with him. Jack Vance's fantasy influenced Dungeons and Dragons in an enormous way.
Yeah.
But his science is so cool. And there is a series called The Demon Prince, which is a series of 5 small short novels, first of which is called Killing Machine, which is basically the Punisher in space. It's a vengeance about a guy going after the 5 people who destroyed his family, and that's always been a huge favorite of mine since I was very young. So they're the books that I go back and reread every 2 or 3 years because I can't do without them.
Yeah, amazing.
See, I'm 9 to 11 books into the Wheel of Time, so I'm stuck for a little bit. I can't even remember how many books I'm into that now. It's going to keep it. I'm not finished. I know that much. So I will, yeah. Now, the last question that I had for you as well is you've written a whole bunch of different genres well, not genres, but a whole bunch of different styles. I mean, you've got right from comics to screenplays to full-size novels to short stories to I don't even know how you bounce yourself around it all. I really don't. But do you have a preference? Like if somebody said, I'm sorry, you can only write one style now for the rest of your life, what would it be?
God, that would be really difficult. It would be really difficult because, for instance, I love writing comics and I love writing prose. I love writing science fiction. I love writing fantasy, that kind of stuff. I honestly think that if you forced me, I would say, right, if all I can do now is write one thing, I would write prose rather than comics because there is a closer connection to your audience, and I would miss comics hugely. But I would write prose, and I would be quite happy to sit there writing, Gaunt and Eisenhorn stories, 40K stories. Yeah. If I had to stay put in one universe, it's one that I've come to know very well and had an influence on the way it's shaped. So it would be the one I would stay in.
Had an influence, mate. Pretty sure you wrote the first Horus Heresy book. You kind of you kind of influence everybody else.
Tiny little influence.
just a little bit. Brentley's got one more question as well, just to take us out for the night as well.
Before we go, so a lot of your stories are obviously quite military orientated, and a lot of the plots and a lot of the tactics that are used are actually they're fairly like tactically sound from like a modern warfighting point of view. Do you have any experience within armed forces or within military tactics, or?
Well, let me tell you, that's a question I've been asked since for a lot. It is a regular recurring question. The first time it was asked to me, I've been writing 40K novels for about 5 years, and I was at an American convention, and an American serviceman who was visiting the convention because he liked the books came and asked me that question. He said, "Are you a veteran? Because the stuff seems authentic." And it was the most flattering thing anyone has ever asked me. I'm not. I have never served. I love the fact that I do enough research to try and make it feel authentic that people could believe that I can do. And it's not so much the details of the military tactics and stuff, which I do try and research to see if I can get them right. But a lot of veterans have told me that it's to do with the camaraderie and the connection between the men. It feels authentic in the way they bond and operate as a fighting unit in the Gaunt's Ghost. And that is a massively, massively complimentary thing. Any author who writes a series of books where people who do that thing essentially for real come along and say, "Did you do that for real?" God, that means he's getting something right. So it was hugely flattering to be told that. And now everything that I put into it that has a smack of authenticity is stuff that I research carefully. Like I said, I read all the time. I'm always looking for stuff that I can use, that I can make this universe feel realistic. But it's got to the stage now where I've been going to conventions so often. I've met so many servicemen in America, either veterans or active, Britain, America, Canada, all around the world. And I now have correspondences with quite a lot of them where I can actually ask them specific questions. I know my books have been, read under fire in Afghanistan and Iraq and all sorts of weird things. They're very, very popular. So there are people all around the world in the armed services and in things like counterintelligence who I can have quiet email conversations with and say, if this was going to happen, how would it actually work? And then find a way of making that a 40K version of that. So it is rightly researched. Thank you for asking me the question. It is still my favorite question that makes me feel very, very.
I'm actually shocked by the answer. I thought you had. I think we both thought you. We both thought you were. You had experience in the forces.
Experience.
So.
Yeah. Very. Your books are like tactically sound, very tactically sound, and the camaraderie, certainly, is very accurate.
Yeah, you've got it right down to the banter as well.
And even the dumb practical jokes soldiers play on each other, like.
Yeah, stop it! Stop it right there. Right. I just one of these days, I really want to see read a small article somewhere that just says. Dan finally lost the plot when he was asked to write a script for the next Pride and Prejudice film or something like that.
And then we can...
So it's going to be what? I can't write about that. There's got to be something you can't write about, and I haven't found it yet.
I think that's why I do so much writing. I'm trying to find a thing I can't write, and maybe Pride and Prejudice would be it. Yeah.
I don't think you would. You'd have to try very hard to beat Pride and Prejudice, if I'm honest. It's yeah, I've been forced to watch more of that than I care to admit. Alrighty, now, mate, that brings us to the end of our show tonight. Boys, bring your mics back on and say thank you to Dan. Damn it, where's your manners? Sorry about them, Dan. I don't know.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thanks, Dan.
Well, thank you all of you for putting up with me and inviting me on and providing me with pictures of arses and all that kind of stuff. So if you want, maybe we can do this again sometime.
Oh, we would love to have you on.
More than happy to. It's a date. We will definitely jack something up, that's for sure. Now, for those of you who have been watching us tonight, thank you for joining us. Thank you to Irresistible Force for the prizes. Thank you to Dan for the prize as well. That book is absolutely amazing. And there will be more of those to come. So stay tuned and make sure that you hit the subscribe button and you'll know exactly when we're on live. Now, I've also added a link to Mr. Abnett's profile within Black Library, but that's just a start. If you haven't read these books, you're a terrible human being. You should feel bad. Go out and read them immediately. What are you doing with your life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Also, I'm pretty sure that Scotty's got a collection of them that you could probably steal. It'll be fine. Just tell him I sent you. Now, Dan, thank you very much for joining us again, mate. Really appreciate it. Thank you for all the work that you've put in for the community, for our universes, plural there. It's amazing. I'm pretty sure it'd be heaps shitter if you hadn't done what you've done. So really do appreciate it, mate.
Yeah.
I want that on the back of one of my books.
It would have been shitter without me.
We can put that on your tombstone.
I tell you what, I will write in a book and send it to you, and I'll just say, Dan, it would have been shitter without you, mate.
We're just gonna we can just type it up tonight, like me and Ryan would 90,000 words. Who cares? We'll just flip over into it.
Yeah.
It happens.
See, again, these ideas, they just come. They just go out. There we go. Alrighty. Friendly, take us out, buddy.
Alright, guys, everyone who's subscribed, thank you very much. We do this for you guys. To Mr. Abnett himself, thank you for appearing on our show. Our two media monkeys, Scott, Dave, you guys are the best. Ryan, Everyone's been on. It's been absolutely amazing. Tune in next week. We're going to have more exciting times. Come catch us at BlizzCon.
Yes, next week on AUSHAMMER, we cover Dan Abnett's move to Australia.
What does Brinley's hair look like?
Yeah, I'm just going, you're like Kenny out of South Park. Nobody actually knows. Yeah. Alrighty, that's it. We're out of here.
We're done. We're out.